She stood alone at the edge of the village, her wedding bangles still clinging to her trembling wrists as the door of the only home she had ever known as a wife slammed shut behind her. In that single, crushing moment, Mira lost not just her marriage, but her dignity, her shelter, and the future she had once dreamed of. The accusation echoed in her ears like a curse: barren, useless, a woman who could not give her husband a child. The sky above her felt heavy, as though even the heavens were ashamed of the injustice unfolding beneath them. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of a woman's heart, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the greatest miracles are born from the deepest pain. Mira had married Arjun 3 years earlier, entering his modest family home with shy smiles and hopeful prayers. She loved him with a devotion that was simple and pure. She woke before sunrise to cook for the household, tended the small vegetable patch behind the house, and cared for her aging mother-in-law Kamla with patience that often went unnoticed. But as months turned into years without the cry of a child filling the courtyard, Kamla's affection curdled into resentment. In their small community, a woman's worth was often cruelly tied to motherhood. Whispers began to follow Mira wherever she went. Women at the well would lower their voices as she approached. Neighbors offered herbal remedies and superstitious advice, each suggestion carrying an unspoken judgment. Arjun, once gentle and attentive, grew distant under the pressure of his mother's constant complaints. Kamla reminded him daily that their family name would end without a grandson, that he deserved a complete wife. Mira endured every test they demanded. She visited doctors in nearby towns, swallowed bitter medicines, prayed at temples until her knees ached against the cold stone floors. Each visit ended the same way. The doctors found nothing wrong. Quietly, one physician suggested that Arjun should also be tested, but Kamla dismissed the idea as an insult. In her mind, the fault could never belong to her son. The day the divorce papers were placed before Mira, her hands shook so violently she could barely see the ink. Arjun avoided her gaze. Kamla stood behind him like a judge delivering a final verdict. Mira signed not because she agreed, but because she had no strength left to fight a battle she was forced to fight alone. With a small bundle of clothes and her shattered heart, she walked away from the house that had once echoed with her laughter. The months that followed were the hardest of her life. She returned to her late father's crumbling hut on the outskirts of a neighboring village. There was no electricity, and the roof leaked when it rained. To survive, she worked in the fields under the harsh sun, her palms blistered and her back bent with exhaustion. Some nights she cried into her thin pillow, asking God why her love had not been enough. Then, one morning, her body felt different. A strange dizziness overcame her as she worked. A kind neighbor insisted she visit a clinic in town. Mira went reluctantly, expecting nothing but another reminder of her supposed failure. Instead, the doctor smiled gently as he read the results. She was pregnant. The words did not register at first. Pregnant. After years of blame, humiliation, and abandonment, life was growing inside her. Tears streamed down her face, not from sorrow this time, but from disbelief and awe. As the months passed, her belly grew round, and with it, her quiet strength returned. She no longer saw herself as broken. She saw herself as chosen. The pregnancy was not easy. She carried the weight alone, working until her body could no longer endure the strain. There were nights she lay awake, fearful of what the future would hold for her child. Yet every kick inside her reminded her that she was not alone anymore. She whispered promises into the darkness, vowing to be both mother and father, protector and provider. 9 months after the day she was cast out, the village awoke to astonishing news. Mira had given birth to twins, 2 healthy baby boys with strong cries that filled the small clinic with life. The nurse laughed through tears as she placed one child in each of Mira's trembling arms. In that moment, every insult she had endured lost its power. Word traveled quickly. By evening, the news reached Kamla's ears. The same neighbors who once whispered now spoke with wide-eyed amazement. Kamla's certainty began to crumble. If Mira had been barren, how could she now hold two grandsons? Doubt crept into her heart, followed by a realization she had refused to consider before. Days later, as Mira sat outside her modest hut, cradling her newborn sons beneath the warm glow of the setting sun, a familiar figure approached hesitantly down the dusty path. Arjun looked thinner, his confidence replaced by regret. Behind him walked Kamla, her step slower than Mira had ever seen. They stood before her, not with accusations this time, but with lowered heads. The truth had come to light after Mira left. Medical tests finally revealed that the issue had never been hers. Arjun had been the one struggling with infertility, a condition that had improved with time and treatment he secretly sought after she left. The weight of their mistake now pressed heavily upon them. Mira listened in silence as remorse poured out of them like a confession. But something inside her had changed. The woman who once begged for acceptance was gone. In her place stood a mother who had walked through fire and emerged stronger. She had learned that her worth was never defined by another's judgment. She did not answer them immediately. Instead, she looked down at her sons, their tiny fingers wrapped around her own. Forgiveness, she knew, was not weakness, but neither was self-respect. Her decision would not be driven by fear of loneliness or desire for validation. It would be guided by what was best for her children and her peace. Before I share how her heart chose to move forward, I want you to pause and comment the word strength if you believe no one has the right to define a woman's value. In time, Mira chose a path of cautious reconciliation, not for the sake of tradition, but for the future of her sons. She agreed to let Arjun be part of their lives, but she refused to return to a house where her dignity had once been stripped away. Boundaries were set, apologies were earned through actions, and Kamla learned humility in the most unexpected way, by witnessing the resilience of the woman she had once rejected. The village that once pitied Mira now looked at her with admiration. She had transformed humiliation into triumph, abandonment into blessing. Her twins grew up hearing not a story of shame but a story of courage, how their mother faced cruelty and answered it with grace. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. Your engagement helps spread messages of hope and second chances to others who may be silently suffering. Mira's journey reminds us that sometimes life removes us from places where we are not valued, only to lead us toward a destiny far greater than we imagined. And in the end, the woman they called Barren became the very symbol of abundance, not just in children but in strength, faith, and unbreakable love.